can all gain from thinking about strategic planning, leadership development, building networks, building coalitions, and trying to be more strategic in all that we do.
Direct markets, a big part of the sales. That's where a lot of energy and interest and sort of that whole building of this awareness of the local food movement has come about, is because of the direct sales. And if you actually take a look at this in terms of net farm income, what you find is that until you reach $350,000 in gross sales, if you make more than $350,000 in gross sales, you are finally more likely to have net positive cash flow and net farm income than not. But for those that want to be in the business of farming, well, my contention is we want to be thinking strategically about how we're allocating scarce resources to support those farms that really want to move into significant food production at the local scale. We really decided that we wanted to take a full food system approach. All types of agriculture, organic, conventional, small, medium, large, micro. We were agnostic in terms of what we were going to look at related to the food system. And part of what we wanted to do was to really help people understand what is a food system. Because so much of the narrative has been, oh, it's just production agriculture. And we lose the bigger picture of how it all fits together, all the types of businesses that are required to get food that we eat as consumers from the fields to our tables. We have increased our net job creation by over 6,000 jobs in 6 years. So we've been adding about 1,000 jobs a year to our food system employment. We've added almost 800 new businesses in farm and food sector.
Part of what we do is manage a restaurant, and finding a way to sell more or get product from more local farmers and being able to keep it profitable and the menu items priced low enough for farmers, for customers to come to the restaurant.
Right.
We buy 60% of our goods from one large national distributor, and that's easy. 2 times a week, our truck shows up and loads 10 pallets. The other 40% of what we sell comes in dribs and drabs throughout the week. The small retirement farmer who has a really good crop of blueberries and brings us some flat that he wants to sell us some blueberries that before we can get them on the shelf, our shoppers will block them out. As we're stocking them on the shelf, we'll just take them out of our hand.
It's a problem to have.
It's a lot of processing. I mean, there's checks to be written, and there's systems, and there's all of that has to happen. Getting those kind of deliveries, we also have a local food hub, which is great. Getting those kind of things aggregated and less deliveries on a daily basis and less checks to cut.
Almost every discussion I go to automatically goes to distribution. And there are some real challenges in distribution, there's no question about that. I would suggest that you need to cut it back another level. That the real issue is growing the number of farmers. That if we can increase the number of farmers to match the demand for local food, the distribution problem will sort themselves out.
The gentleman next to me was saying that from his perspective, he lives in an area where there are a lot of small farmers, and they have the opposite problem. They can't get it to market. So they have no transportation or ability to get there unless they join a co-op or so maybe the distribution cuts both ways, and maybe one can think about how to join these two challenges in a way that everybody benefits.
And what has happened in the food system and agriculture over the last 50 years has been a steady movement towards consolidation. And that's been for efficiency purposes. It's been about being able to have a fewer number of vendors that you have to process invoices for, right? It's been about the efficiencies of scale and of moving food to feed an ever suburbanizing and urbanizing population, as well as for export markets. It's opened up this big question of, like, how does this food system actually work? And is it now so big and so consolidated that it's no longer providing the ability to access markets for smaller producers because things have moved into this larger space? we are seeing openings, we are seeing shifts in the marketplace, where the marketplace is in fact adapting to what consumer demand is asking for. How do we create the environment or the conditions within which the private sector has the greatest chance to survive and thrive? So as a support system, what can we be doing to making sure that that the private sector folks that are actually the ones producing the food are thriving?
Our biggest social enterprise endeavor is our partnership with DC Public Schools. So what started as an offshoot of a catering company that we run, we now have a contract with DC Public Schools where we serve 12 of the DC Public Schools, and 2 charter schools and 1 private school. And we do about 8,500 school meals a day. So that's in addition to the 5,000 meals that we do at our other location. So these 8,500 meals are all locally sourced and scratch cooked. This is a contract that we have that brings in revenue and allows us to employ our graduates, and also allows us to support local farmers. So we work with about 35 different local farms, mainly from Virginia, to source all this local produce that we bring to, again, a central kitchen where we do a lot of processing to then send out to our 12 schools where they're serving the food. Our sourcing of seconds really started as a way to save money while buying local. You hear a lot, it's too expensive to buy local, it costs too much money, and so a lot of the ways we've been able to get around that is by going to farmers and saying, we'll buy ugly produce that you have. We'll buy the misshapen items, the large sweet potatoes, as a way to have sort of a lower cost. And what we realized, why we continue doing it, is that when we process the product, it all ends up looking the same. This really has allowed us to control our costs when sourcing local, but also ties back to our real mission to combat food waste. And knowing that we're not only supporting farmers, but we're also keeping that product out of the waste stream and turning it into something really great.
So what is the Capillary Food Bank? We are the area's largest feeding organization. We are focused on both providing food, but also working towards its companion problems. So things like chronic undernutrition, diabetes, and obesity. We know that about 50% of the clients that we serve either have or live with someone that has a diet-related illness. So knowing that information is really important for us to think about the best way to provide good, healthy food. Our mission is really we are staying committed to providing good, healthy food into the community. And we've put a lot of effort into making sure that the food that we send into the community is really meeting the need. So not just putting food in the community, but doing it in a really smart way using data and also accessing the right type of food. So last year we distributed 46 million pounds of food into the community, and of that, 15 million was fresh fruits and vegetables. And 25% of that, so about a quarter, was cured food. We also couple our distribution with recipes so that individuals, again, know how to not only store it and cut it up and prepare it, but can also prepare it in a really healthy way. Our recipe cards are bilingual, and they also provide nutritional information so that folks that have dietary restrictions or illnesses that they have to address, they know exactly what they're eating. When we went after the seconds, we also started to get a lot of the firsts, right? Growers realized that it doesn't make sense for them to segregate first and seconds because it's just adding on cost with labor. So instead they're just saying, all right, here, take it all. And it's benefiting both of us.
So what we're doing at Misfit is we're making cold pressed juice from fruits and veggies that are seconds or surplus or scraps. And so what that means is that we're sourcing from really 3 areas. The first of those is direct from farmers. The second is distributors and cooperatives, people like Local Food Hub, others up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and the local distributors. And the third area is scraps, and that's coming from fresh nut producers. So people who are making carrot sticks or watermelon cubes for your grocery store are obviously generating a lot of scrap. And I think, in our work, there are really 2 things that matter most to us. The first is on the customer side, making sure that we're making the most delicious juice that we can. It's a premium product, and so we have to pay that price. We need to make sure that we have the best product on the market. Then the second is really just supporting livelihoods, farmers, and people in the sort of food value chain. So as a small company, I think we have kind of the agility and the ability to be nimble and be as good a customer as possible and as good a partner as possible. Ultimately, what we see Misfit as is not just a cold pressed juice company, although that's what we're making right now. We really see it as a platform to reimagine how people are engaging with their food. right? And as we say, finding meaning in misfits. And right now, that means cold pressed juice, but I think we see opportunities for a whole slew of products, whether that's soups, veggie pulp bars from the pulp that we generate with our juice, which we're currently composting. The sort of possibilities are really endless in this spectrum of using seconds and surplus and scraps. And so
today we were speaking with a group and a lady was there from Augusta, Georgia, and she just looked straight at me and said, you know, every day is an emergency in our neighborhood. Every day. We have the situation of folks that are spending 40 hours a week standing in line at food pantry to food pantry to food pantry to get enough food. The problem when you have someone coming and get something free again and again and again destroys the human spirit. We all have graces and gifts and abilities. I worked with homeless people for years. Homeless people want to give back. They'll say, hey, can I help at the soup kitchen? You know, people want to do for themselves.
And I didn't quite realize, that Ron and I would meet each other the way we did maybe 20 years ago or so. Working in sustainable agricultural circles, and we just sort of ended up realizing we were going down the same path. But he really has been the innovator for 35 years or more in soil conservation and no-till and cover crops and all the things that we all now preach and think is sort of standard. He was sort of, I know I have several other colleagues, friends from the land-grant university system who really put their necks out there 30, 35, 25 years ago to say, hey, there's this thing that's, you need to look at the sustainable ag thing and you can do it. And Ron has been able to go about it, fortunately, at Tech, on the side. A lot of times it feels like on the side where they're going, well, he's just over there, we won't bother him. So he's done all this great work all these years, and I can't think of anyone who's more deserving of this. So
I want to thank everyone. I had no idea this was coming. I have enjoyed all the work I've done, and it's been my pleasure to work with folks like yourself. So thank you very much.
I'm a historic interpreter. I am not a reenactor. We are two different tribes. We are cousins, but we ain't that related. Let's just put it that way. They do it as a hobby, I do it because I get a paycheck. I don't play with the kids for fun. So y'all can laugh at that. Everybody in this room kinfolk anyway. So we need to break that boundary down. I'm probably related to about half of y'all don't even know it. So let's be real. If you look, in 2012, I did a tour of the South called the Southern Discomfort Tour. And I wanted to find out my actual roots and my food roots throughout the South. I had a very good idea about my family tree and where we came from. These collected 50, 60-eyed families. The more you do it, the more families you uncover. But I was starting to lose my sense of memory. I didn't realize that memory doesn't stay forever. That until you've actually been to the place a couple of times, it doesn't really sink in. That you have to actually have your feet on the ground. You may only see one place once in your lifetime and that's it. Or you may see a place repeatedly, and every time you go there's a different thing it gives you, energy it gives you. So that's what we did. We raised money on the internet, crowdfunded successfully, went around the entire South. We went from all the way from the plantation Frederick Douglass grew up on the eastern shore of Maryland to East Texas, from Missouri, the Boot Hill of Missouri and St. Louis, down to Florida. All across Kentucky, all across Tennessee, we did the whole thing. My grandfather's county in South Carolina hasn't seen a cotton field in 40 years. The cotton gin, which is falling down, he took his cotton to. I always go there every time I visit, because one time I visit, I know it's going to be a condo, not a cotton gin. So the South has how many things to sell? It's music, it's history, aka battlefields and old houses, food, and and the arts. That's it. You see all these little middling southern towns, that's how they're making their money, so they advertise themselves. See, we have this unique food, we have this history, we have this music, we have this arts thing we're trying to do. Doesn't matter if it's Spartanburg or Petersburg, Tallahassee, Lexington, Kentucky, they're doing the exact same program. Question for me was, well, who originally stirred the pot? Who built that antebellum mansion? Who was that war fought over? And what songs did they sing when they were cooking and building and picking up somebody's munitions behind them? All it goes back here. The African American heritage of the South. So for me, it was about really connecting those dots. And I go to different plantations across the South in the colonial or 19th century gear, and I cook. For me, that is a very political resistance act because I saw my people being forgotten. We were not the machinery, we were the additional capital that built a billion-dollar industry we call Southern food. Part of my work is not about pointing fingers. It is about acknowledging different forms of kinship and family. It is about healing and reconciliation. It's also about justice. And it's not just that children in Charleston, particularly black children, Gullah Geechee children, for whom this rice is their heritage, have never put a grain of Carolina gold rice into their mouth. But somebody else is, in a restaurant in downtown Charleston, that don't even have a black janitor. No black chefs, no black business owners, no black shareholders, not even a black man or woman to clean the dishes, but somebody else eating their heritage, while they get to eat from where? Corner store. When I have young people who come to our presentations on plantations, they get to see and understand what connects them as Southern people. We Southern people are a family. We are a dysfunctional family. Incredibly dysfunctional. But we are still a family. And it's the food and its stories and its narratives and the understanding that connects us. Two strangers. But we already knew we were kinfolk. We already knew it was our joint heritage. It's what made us together. A real Southern operates on two levels. There's Southern first, then comes American. You're real about it. Because one is your family, one is your nation. And so this happened over and over again. African American elders were testifying. Kids from every background would go, oh, I like cornbread. Of course you like cornbread. Who's your grandmama? So we break those boundaries down. Now it's Mississippi. We were on Melrose Plantation. The white lady confided in me, she said, this is the largest integrated gathering I've ever seen in Nashville. You know what they were doing? They were sitting around a table, 50 people, shelling field peas and picking through greens and talking. They didn't know each other. What's your last name? Such and such. Oh, that's my last name.